Hi there, it's Phil Smy. Welcome to episode number 3 of my Design a Business with the Business Model Canvas course. Last time I talked about value proposition, and that's the starting point of the idea you have for what you will provide. But provide to whom? And that's where customer segment comes in. Customer segment and value proposition are closely intertwined. And after all, it's hard to know what the customers you are going to go after are if you don't know what it is you're going to sell. But you can't really refine your product if you don't know anything about your customers. In this one, I'm going to divert a little from the Business Model Canvas or Business Model Generation book specifically. In that book, they talked about 5 different kinds of customer segments. Mass market, segmented, which is where you have 2, but they have slightly different needs, but similar. Niche, diversified, which is where you have groups kind of within the same segment, but they can be satisfied with a similar value proposition, and multi-sided, which is where you have, or where you need at least 2 different groups to get involved with your value proposition to make your business work. In other words, you have you're an introduction service kind of thing. If you're a startup, I think you should ignore mass market. You're going to die a horrible death of over complicatedness if you go after a mass market thing. I think really what you should be focusing on is niche and then expanding into diversified. So niche is not only often mispronounced, it's as niche, which drives me crazy, but it's niche. It's also misdefined. A niche is a group of people who are defined by their interests, which is their psychographics, if you want to get into the 10-cent word, and their demographics, which is external data like their race, their gender, their income, and this kind of thing. So single mothers is not a niche, it's a demographic. And people looking to make money online, that's a psychographic. So single mothers looking to make money online, that is a niche. You should try and combine the 2 as often as possible. Some people also call this worldview. Your customer segment should be a worldview. But I think that's because they don't know how to pronounce the word niche. So when you're starting out designing your value proposition, you want to find a rather specific niche and cater to them. Get a core group of supporters and then work outwards. Amazon did this. For instance, they started with people who were interested in textbooks or obscure to find hard books, and then they went into general books, and then they went into everything and dominated the planet. But there's one thing you've got to be aware of, and that is that your customers and the end consumers of your value proposition may be different. So as I talked last time, my idea is to set up this new kind of production company for digital media. And that sentence really is just a bunch of bullshit catchphrases stuck together. So what I really want to do is start a company that takes my creative ideas and gets them in front of the eyeballs that are attached to the brains that are inside the people who might be entertained by what I make. But we may not have direct access to these people. I may need to sell through a media buyer. And that media buyer might go out to a television network and so on. So those buyers, those distributors, are actually my customers. It's a key factor that a lot of people in the entertainment industry don't really understand. And it's not just the entertainment industry, of course. If you have a product that you want to get on the shelves of Walmart, your customers, your initial customers, are the buyers for Walmart. Never forget this. It's a radically important and different perspective that a lot of people miss. So, back to my case. I have in my media company 4 customer segments, or 2 groups of customer segments with 2 kind of subsections in each. Segment number 1 is, of course, end viewers. And this is English-speaking or Japanese-speaking people who are interested in seeing independent productions. Segment 2 is what I call the gatekeepers, and that includes MCNs, multi-channel networks for the YouTube generation, and that's often people who are on YouTube who get together other channels and market them together. So MCNs and content buyers like Netflix, Hulu, and television distributors. So mine is a kind of diversified approach. So the initial niche would be to go after one of those. The end viewers get their viewing kicks from seeing the product, but the gatekeepers get their business needs satisfied by buying my product and distributing it. So, as I just said, I think it's a bit of a mistake to start out with so many customer segments. The best thing is to pick one, get them happy as a pig in swill, and then move on to the next one and build and build.
The Pig of Happiness by Edward Monkton.
I think this approach especially works well for small entrepreneurial businesses because you have limited resources. And of course, I would also recommend talking to people who are actually going to be potential customers and see if they're even interested in your value proposition. As I said in the segment about value proposition and the one before that, all of these things need to subtly change as you learn more and more about how to build up the business model canvas. Don't get stuck in analysis paralysis. Of course, you don't want to be asking and asking and asking and never doing, but you better know what customers actually want. So before I wrap this up, I want to give you some questions to think about when it comes to identifying and developing your customer segments and influencing the development of your value proposition. So these questions are all about market forces. Market forces breaks down into five different areas. The first one is market segments, and that is, what are the most important customer segments with the biggest growth potential? Which segments are declining? Very important to know that. And which peripheral segments deserve attention? You should think about market segment because a lot of people are ignoring the edges. The edges are where a lot of money can be made. You have this thing called switching costs. So what will bind a customer to your value proposition? And what kind of switching costs would prevent a customer from leaving you and going to the competition? And how easy is it for customers to find alternatives to your value proposition? Basically, you want to make your value proposition sticky, and you want to find a group of customers that will stick the most. So revenue. And yes, I realize I start a lot of sentences with so. I'm trying to fix that. Anyway, revenue. What are customers willing to pay for, and where can the largest margins be achieved? Remember that Drucker talked a lot about tweaking things to increase your margins. Market issues. What are the crucial issues in the customer landscape, and what shifts are underway? Where's the market heading? You really have to be aware of what's going on in the larger space around what you're trying to do. And finally, needs and demands. You have to know this to identify your customers and tweak your value proposition. So what's the biggest unsatisfied customer need? And what demands are increasing? And again, you have to know which ones are decreasing. What don't people want anymore? Or what people don't want anymore? Yeah, something like that. So think about these questions. You eventually have to know the answers or know that you don't know the answers to all of those and more. If you really want your business to stand the test of time, you have to know so much about it. I'm going to end the video here. It's a bit of a long one, maybe. Yes, it's a long one. And in the next one, I'm going to continue our journey into the right side of the canvas, and we're going to look into channels. So if you want to join in the conversation, leave some comments down below. Of course, I'd love to hear your business ideas, and if you want to talk about those, just send me a message. I try and answer. And don't forget to go over to philsmy.com and subscribe to my newsletter there. About once a week, I send you out a daily, obviously not with daily, a digest of any articles that I might have written that you might have missed. So we'll see you next time.